What's up guys, Bonnie here with another Raid Shadow Legends video. Today I am joined by the legend himself, the Master Jedi, and he is here to help me with the clan boss again, because I mean he's the expert, so why not go to the man himself. So we're going to look at a clan boss build that includes a ninja, and I know Deadwood, you've already tried this, but my team is a little bit different and you've helped me build this, so might as well, you know, go over it again.
Absolutely. I mean, look, there's so many clan boss builds out there. I'm trying to cover all of them, right? I mean, I've put out a video on the Bat Eater, a couple variants of it actually, the best used ninja. I've got a budget unkillable team that I'm about to show out. I have a double man eater one that I'm going to put out here. Probably by the time this video comes out, that'll be out there, but I can't do them all. And this is actually perfect timing that you asked me to help, because you are running a Batman Forever team, Batman Forever, right? You're using Seeker to get in a 2-1. But you're not using man eaters, and I don't have that build ready to go. It's going to take me some time to actually build it, and I mean, I only have so much silver too, like everybody else. So this is great because we can talk about how we use ninja in this team and how to speed tune it and make it work for people, and I think that's really good. So yeah, I'm excited about this myself.
So now here we go with the team that you presented yesterday, and obviously I was trying to build on that, but I don't have the unkillable version. What I have is the Batman Forever team. So you were kind enough, obviously, to help me again, like I said, and give me the speed requirements for this team right here. And this is what I wanted to do with the classic Warcaster, Seeker, Roshgerd as our unkillable or block damage. In this case, we have a 2-to-1 ratio, and then we have a Feign and a Ninja. We talked about trying to do allies joint attack with like Krila Witch Arm. Might be a little bit more complicated. We thought about perhaps maybe Farrakhan the Fat as well, but I'm not quite there yet. So for now, what I decided to go with is a slower Feign, which is in relentless gear, and we put our ninja into a reflex set. All right, and as you can see right here with the tuning, everything should work nicely. In fact, it did. So we're going to go over a run in a second. One of the things you had pointed out was that he has to be the fastest DPS here, I believe, right? Because of the turn meter on his A1.
Yeah, so obviously there's a little bit of a issue with Ninja and his A1 ability where it gives you that turn meter boost, and you have to accommodate for that. He's not going to work in every comp, and even the comps that he does work in, often you have to make some speed adjustments to him. Thankfully, with Batman Forever, he can work pretty much like any other champion, just putting him as the second DPS slot, right?
Yeah.
I haven't worked out all the speeds, so I don't know if it's the fastest or the slowest. Him and Tower, you can see, are almost identical speeds anyway. It should work just fine either or. But do want him to have him in that DPS slot. You can't have him in the fastest slot. No. Because what ends up happening is he goes too fast, actually, with that turn meter boost on his A1. And it's not something you can fix by slowing him down overall. It's a thing with the turn meter where, on every tick, a champion takes a turn. And really what's happening in these 2-1 comps is you're timing those ticks. You're timing those turns that your champions are taking.
Yeah.
Essentially, the first 5 ticks, every champion is going. And then on tick 8, when the clan boss has a full meter, that's when you need your slowest champion to take their next turn. And then by everybody taking a subsequent turn on each tick, you're extending the clan boss. That's how we get into the 2-1 ratio.
Yeah.
We can't really mess with that too much, because then you're not going to have enough speed to catch back up around and go first in the next turn. So it is a little bit tricky to work with that. Now, with this one, though, yes, having him in that DPS slot, he's going to work great for you. If you are wondering, too, the A1, Ninja's in the calculator. So if you mess around with when his A1 happens, you can see, will this work or won't it, depending on what skills he's using. Because, as you can see, he uses A1 when he goes first in a turn. He uses A1 when he goes second in a turn, and it doesn't affect the speed comp. That's why we can be confident that Reflex Set is going to work just fine, because he's going to be able to use, whether he uses his A1 skill or not, he's still going to stay in tune.
Exactly.
So the Reflex Set isn't going to mess with that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so it should work wonderfully, I think.
Beautiful. So now let's go check out the run before we're going to check out the gear of the champions. All right, guys. So now here we go with the recorded run. As you're going to see, it's very simple, so we're not going to watch the whole thing, okay? We're just going to show how it's set up, and then we're going to fast forward to a few different parts, because what I want to highlight here is that the stun target is going to change. Because I'm using a Feign and a Ninja, which this guy has the perfect veil, it's going to affect this overall, but it's not going to screw up your run is basically what I want to showcase here, all right? So let's get going with the run itself. Here we go. All right, let's see this play out. Yeah. I was so excited to try this out. When you told me it was going to work, you gave me the speeds. I'm like, I got to try this out right now. So right off the bat, we're going with, like I said, auto. Everything is set up. Like I said, I will show you the turn order at the end. All right, so pretty straightforward. We do take a couple hits in the beginning. We are going to take some damage. Here's another thing to point out. Feign is going to heal herself based on her skills. And in my classic clan boss team, this is going to prevent her from ever becoming the stun target. Krila, being the lead, does not heal herself. She would always stay the stun target even if she gets her little shield buff. But in this case, because of the veil buff, Ninja's never going to get stunned unless he drops enough in his HP, right? So it does happen at a handful of times where he does become the target. It's still not going to screw up your run, which is why I'm saying this is so great, and it works on full auto. And I didn't want to have to do a build that was not going to work on full auto. I don't know about you, Deadwood, but like ever since this has been implemented, I can hit auto for all my clan boss runs, walk away and do something else with my life, you know?
It's very nice. I mean, I'm still partial to traditional teams, which takes me, you know, somewhere between, 3 and 6 turns to set up, which is, but I have to say, like, the more I do it, the more I'm like, maybe I should just build a Bat Eater team and get this over with. Just get a full auto team going so I don't have to worry about it. It's amazing how much you get used to those luxuries once you have them, right?
Exactly. And I mean, this is still probably one of the best clan boss builds out there. And the fact that you can play around with the 2 DPS champions opens up a lot of possibilities. Obviously, Draco Morph being so fantastic, but in my case, it's a Feign for that decreased defense and the weaken. Although now, because we have Ninja, we might be able to work with this guy instead, right? So I can think of other possibilities. Do you have any other in mind yourself?
Oh, I got a lot of ideas, definitely to use with Ninja. I mean, when I first saw his kit, when I first tested him, right? My first video was just testing him in Clan Boss. Bat Eater's the easiest one to just throw a champion in and see what they do, right? A lot of people run it. It's real easy comparisons, like running a champion in Dragon. And I was so blown away by the damage that he did, and it really, but I was also very cognizant of the limitations, right? He doesn't bring a whole lot to the table for the rest of your team. He does have a decreased defense, but it's on this A1. It's a 60% chance to land, not a 100% chance. And because his A2 is constantly being cooled down by his own A3 ability, he's not actually using his A1 all that much. Basically, like once every 4 turns or twice every 5 turns. It's not that often, so it's not a consistent debuff to land. And so immediately I'm thinking, well, look, if this guy can drop 40 million without having a decreased defense and weaken up consistently, what can he do with that kind of stuff up there?
It's true.
And so immediately I was thinking, Batman Forever. It's going to be a perfect comp for him because you get to bring in another DPS champion like a Feign, as we have here, and that's going to allow you to have that decreased defense and weaken up the full fight and really see the full potential of this champion realized. And I mean, look, those hits, 3 hits there doing 90, 89K. I mean, that's ridiculous. And by the end of this fight, because he ramps up, each of those hits is going to be doing 100K. Like, it's ridiculous. He's so much fun to watch. He's really a blast. Like, just a big number kind of champions.
Exactly.
Which is really great. Yeah.
And here's another thing to point out over my classic team. All right, so my classic team will have a Krila witch arm in the lead. What I'm gaining from Krila is allies join attack and the increased crit rate buff. So right now my entire team is suffering because they lost 30% crit rate. All of their gear is based on getting that extra 30%, which means they are at 100%. So right now they don't have that. As you'll see with the results, we're still getting very close. So we're effectively losing 30% crit rate, allies join attack, and still being very close to my typical clan boss build. So there's room for optimization is what I'm saying. Now, will I always work with Ninja? I mean, I might. Obviously, the gear check is pretty hard here, right? We do have a reflex set on Ninja and we have a relentless on Feign herself. And then the other champions obviously need very high speed requirements as well. So yeah, this is a little bit more of an end game build, but certainly for you guys who are just starting out, you've got Ninja. It's fun to know that you have a great option for the end game, that you can use this in this type of comp. And I think that's what's great, is that you just got a free champion to literally do a 1 key Ultra Nightmare, assuming you have the other champions.
100%. Look, you're going to invest your books, you're going to invest your silver, you're going to invest so much into this champion. It's good to know that that investment isn't a waste. Now, look, exactly. I'm super end game right now. You know, for me, I'm probably not going to be using Ninja. Probably not at all. He's going to be in my vault because I have better options. But like, literally 2 months ago, I probably still would have been using Ninja in certain areas. And to that end, I still might use Ninja even right now. I might build him up and use him in things like Dragon and stuff. Like, he's got some real good potential. He's got a lot of usage in this game. You invest in him, it's not going to be a waste of resources whatsoever. And by the way, really quickly, because I know you mentioned that you use Kreela in your main team, and there are always people that ask this kind of thing. Yes, if you want to use a Kreela, if you want to use a Ferric in the Fat, you want to use an ally protection champion like Longbeard, all of which would be great options, I think. You can use him in this build in the same spot where Fane is. Here's the thing, though. Every one of those ally attacks gives you a little bit of a turn meter boost for Ninja. The longer, until you get into the 2-1 ratio tune, it's going to be, those ally attacks might throw things off.
Yeah.
So the hard part is you have to manual a little longer because you really want to wait until you fully get in the tune. Once you get in the 2-1 ratio tune, this is an extremely resilient composition, and those ally attack shouldn't have any real impact on the end result of the run. So that's the only caveat I'd throw out there is, like, you know, it takes a little bit more setup to get those champions working together, but you know, the results are always good, so
awesome.
Nothing wrong with that.
More testing needed, basically, right? We're going to try more compositions, but for now, this is what we had for you guys. So let's fast forward a little bit to the end, because I do want to highlight towards the end where right there. So it happened for a second. Let me go back here a little bit. Our Ninja is going to become the stun target, right? Because Fane healed herself, and now he's a little bit too low HP. This happens on the Void Affinity when the poison ticks will tick outside of the block damage, right? So then you end up losing a little bit and a little bit and a little bit to a point where you're going to drop under 50%, and at least this guy's going to heal himself with the Life Drinker Mastery. So it's not the end of the world. You don't need life steal for this to work. It's still just the, you know, the reflex gear or relentless gear, reflex in this case. And so right there, boom. Okay, so he becomes a stun target. Not the end of the world. He can handle that as well. Then it's going to go back to normal because he's going to eventually, like I said, heal himself. So let's fast forward a little bit more here towards the end so that you guys can see the total damage that we get from this guy, which I think is pretty amazing, considering, like I said, I lost a lot of crucial things on this team, all right? And the gear is not perfect. It could use more crit damage, more attack, right? So it's a big work in progress. And on top of that, his skills are not maxed out, by the way. I didn't have enough legendary tomes left to fully max out the ninja, so we don't have the full cooldown reduction on the third skill, and we don't have his A1 fully maxed out either. All right, so a little bit more, but overall, here we go. We're at just about 80 million for this guy in a replacement for my Kreela Witch Arm, which again, I think is absolutely amazing. There we are. 32 million damage total, which is not too bad. Fane obviously took a big hit. She's usually at like 27 million herself. So part of that damage got moved over, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's part of what Ninja brings, right? Like, he's going to do incredible work on his own. He just doesn't, you know, he's a selfish champion, I think is the best way to put it. He's like, I want the damage. I don't want to help anybody else do it. Just let it be me. But he's incredibly good at it, you know.
You think that was built into his character? The ego came along with the character?
I cannot speak to that. I'm not familiar enough with the gentleman to say one way or the other. But you know. I don't know. I guess I have to say though, if I had a character in a game like Raid, I'd have a pretty big ego too.
Yeah. All right.
I'm like, ability out the window.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's go check out the gear now. So here we go with our champion builds, starting with the Roshker, the tower. I've shown this multiple times before, so I'm not going to spend too much time here. Deadwood, you've probably seen this many times before, right? So we need the right amount of speed. Like I said, crit rate is at 75% instead of 100 because I usually have Kreela. 220 210% crit damage. Accuracy, you don't care. This guy should be in a toxic set for me to get a little bit more damage on my regular team. I just haven't gotten around to doing that. The skills are all done. And then for the Masteries,
I have to say, I really like the smart build on that, building him an attack as opposed to HP. I feel like that's a trap for people when you're using him in an unkillable team, and especially with the skill priorities, just have him use his A1 and build that attack up. It's a very smart way to build him.
That's right. And you cancel out the A2 entirely, as we'll check in a second in the skill order. Then for the Masteries, we are using War Master, obviously, for the tier 6, along with the defense tree here. Pretty straightforward. If you spot an error here, Deadwood, please let me know so I can fix this now that I have you with me here. Let's keep going. Kreela right now is fully geared. I guess I can quickly show her because, like I said, she's usually in that lead position. So same thing here, relatively high amount of attack, the right speed. Accuracy, you don't really care about her accuracy, although she's never going to land her stun. I do want to have accuracy for other things that I use her for. Okay, so crit damage, crit rate, again, a little bit too low, but don't forget about the buff. All the skills are done. Masteries, War Master for the tier 6 here. We do have lasting gifts, pretty straightforward. Then let's do our Warcaster. Which
I like how you said her crit rate's too low. I'm like, I think her crit rate's too high.
Yeah, it is too high for the buff. You're right. So yeah, what I meant is, like, you know, sometimes you can't exactly hit the 70% on the mark, right? So I ended up just doing whatever I could. Probably crit rate close.
Always.
Then we have Warcaster. 3.3k attack, 266 speed. This guy needs to be really, really fast. Kind of hard to do. Crit rate's a little bit too low in this case. Really too low. We want to be at 70% at least. Crit damage 207. Accuracy, you don't care. And pay attention. I do have 2 immortal pieces on Warcaster, as well as Roshgerd, as well as Seeker, which you'll see in a second. That is to counter the poison ticks, to be full HP for most of the fight, so that you can benefit from the Heart of Glory Mastery, right? Because you're never, like an unkillable buff, you're going to be low health. You're going to be going for Grim Resolve, I assume, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, you would.
So in this case,
you've built these perfectly, honestly. Like, that's a 100%. You want that immortal set to make sure that not only to make sure that they are full health for the extra damage, but also to make sure that they aren't just slightly low enough to take the stun. That's really important.
Exactly.
And keeping them full HP is crucial for that. So that's really good.
Exactly.
I love the crit damage. I love the attack stats that you have on them are all looking very high and good. No, I got nothing for you, brother. You're doing great here.
Hey, I learned from the best. I might still be a Padawan here, but I'm learning from the best, you know? Okay, so here's Seeker now with a decent amount of attack, right speed, right on the dot for the crit rate, 243% crit damage. This guy has better multipliers than Roshgerd or Warcaster, so you do want to try and put the better gear on this guy instead first, and then the other guys are just going to get whatever's left over. Okay, so emphasize him, Fane, and Kreela, or in this case, Ninja. All the skills are done. Then for the Masteries, kind of the same concept here. Really nothing is different. So that's the trio that you need to make this unkillable team work with a 2-to-1 ratio. Now, let's go check out our Ninja guy. Actually, let's do Fane here first, and I had to tweak her gear to reduce her speed. In the previous comp, she's usually at 247. In this case, she's at 219, at least above 218, and I think this will work. We can go up to 222, right, if I recall correctly?
Yeah, I believe that. You can probably even go a little bit higher than that, but yeah, right around there. This is impressive that we did 80 million damage without anybody at 100% crit rate, because we're not bringing that buff from Kreela.
Yeah.
That's pretty great. I mean, I assume Ninja is, but outside of that, pretty great.
He's obviously not going to do as much, but still, I was surprised as well. I thought by losing allies joint attack and the crit rate, I was not going to be anywhere near the same damage that I typically do. So I'm really impressed with this myself. So 4.3k attack, 219 speed. She's therefore slower now. Just the right amount of crit rate. Maybe a little bit too much for the buffs, and then 228% crit damage. You do want her accuracy to be as high as possible. I got to finish this banner, but this is only temporary for this build. All the skills are done, and then for the Masteries, same thing, War Master here, and just the regular stuff into the support tree. Of course, here you want to get Cycle of Magic. Same thing with Ninja, as we'll see in a second. You want that guy, I believe, to do part of his skills as often as possible. Okay, so for his gear, we went with Reflex. We reached just about 4k attack, 239 speed, 78% crit rate, 233% crit damage, and some decent accuracy right here. And like I said, reflex will work great, but the skills are not fully maxed out, so I am missing 10% for the decreased defense here, although we had feign, so it didn't really matter in this case. And then for this skill, it is fully maxed out, and for the A3, we're missing the cooldown reduction here, so maybe we could get a little bit more damage from this. I don't think it would be huge, but it would be a little bit more, right? You think it'd be a lot more?
Well, if we take a second and just talk about, you know, the stuff that he's doing here, like the fact that you don't have him booked is again surprising to me. This is a 5-turn cooldown. When it's booked, it's a 4-turn cooldown.
Yeah.
His A2 skill, that Halliburn, is a 3-turn cooldown, but that A3 will cool down the A2.
Yeah.
So basically what ends up happening, the way the skills work, he goes A2 skill, because that's his actually prioritized one, A2 skill, A3 skill, back to the A2 skill, and then he does the A1 skill 2 times till his A2 is cooled down again. And he repeats that. So over 5 attacks, he's getting 2 of those A2 skills happening every time.
Yeah.
Which is very impressive. Now, actually, he doesn't, I mean, for Clan Boss here, because he prioritized that Hail Burn, I don't think you actually need to book the cooldown for that Science Land. I don't think it actually affects it. Not like talking it out. I believe it is on that 5-turn cooldown that he's going to use it. So it actually works out really nicely for you. Just going with the normal AI, not having to fully book him, it's going to work just fine for Clan Boss. But getting that A2 skill over and over again is massive. That's why that reflex gear can be huge. Because that, if you think about it, that A2 skill, it procs 3 HP burns all at the same time. That's 75,000 per effect.
Yeah.
That's 225,000 damage just off one skill before the skill itself does any damage. And as we saw, it's a 3-hitter for like 100k each or right around there.
Yeah,
so it is a massive, massive skill. The more often you get it, the better.
Yeah.
Like super cool ability.
Yeah, it's true. Okay. So then, hey, we'll keep testing this. And for now, here are the masteries that I am using. I did in this case go with Grim Resolve. I was thinking Grim Resolve might come into play because he's never going to be full health anyway, Heart of Glory. So maybe for those occasional times where he does reach a lower health, then this might work. So again, I don't know if this is perfect. Then I went with Cycle of Magic. Again, you want that A2 up as often as possible, or that A3 up to cool down the A2 as much as possible, right? So pretty straightforward. And then we have Sniper here for the A1, and then Master Hexer for just everything across the board. So this is it. Now let me quickly show you guys the skill order, or the AI control that we had to use for this to work, and all the way at the bottom right here. All right, so for Ninja, untouched. I didn't really control him. I know that in your video, you forced him to use his A2 first, if I'm not mistaken, right? So
I did. The reason why is because I hadn't had the time to fully test him and watch the run. So I was like, well, let me just not worry about it. I'm pretty sure he prioritized that Ace 2. That seems to be that was the first skill he used, right?
Yeah.
When I first tested it. So I was like, okay, well, that's the prioritized one. I can at least, see how that goes. Let me just set it up so I don't have to worry about it in case something goes wrong.
Okay.
And it worked out,
Perfect. Then for Feign, untouched as well, because she basically does everything she needs to do. Your only control here really comes from your 3 champions for the unkillable portion. So for Siku, for example, you force an opener on the A1, right? You got to wait at least 1 turn before he does his A2. As for Roshgard, because we're also prioritizing attack here, we're going to force the opener on his A1, number 1, that is crucial, but also block his A2. You just want him to keep doing his A1 and the A3 whenever it is up and ready to go. And then for Warcaster, you just block his A2. He's always going to do either the A1 and A3 like Roshgard. That's it. So that's the control that you need for this team. Even with the turn meter boost on the A1, it still works, guys. So certainly use Ninja if you have this champion instead of, let's say, a Krila. Do work on your stats. They'll reach that 100% crit rate, and this will be even better. But now let me quickly show you guys some previous results, because this is what I really wanted to do today, was to compare my usual Clan Boss build to what I have right now with this guy. All right, so Deadwood, I'm not sure if you see this here, but what I have basically is my typical team at 86.34 million damage. Sorry, this is the best run I've ever had with a Krila in the lead. Fane at 27 million damage. Krila had 14 million, then Seeker 17 million, and the other champions 14 and 12. So that was pretty good. Hold on, okay, go ahead.
Time out. I'm sorry, you saying that 86 million is your best run you've ever done?
On Void, yes, with my typical team.
You just did 80 million with a team that's not crit capped on any of the champions outside of Ninja.
Yeah, that's why I was saying earlier to you, I'm like, man, I think Ninja has a place here, right? We can optimize this.
Wow. Wow. I did not expect that, my friend. I did not expect that.
Yeah.
That's really impressive. I mean, that's about as big a testament you can get to Ninja as can be done. Like that's crazy.
All right, and now here's another example of a clan boss run that I've done so far. This was fresh from this morning. I will have a dedicated build video on this in a little bit, but basically what you see here is double allies join attack. All right, so we have a Krila in the lead, a Farrakin, and Seeker, Roshgard, and Warcaster. 83 million damage. All right, with two allies join attack, we are capped on crit rate. Obviously here we have HP burns, we have more crit damage from Farrakin, and so we're just about there as well with Ninja, which is not fully optimized. So again, kind of showing here, guys, that Ninja is adding, you know, he might be a solo player like we said earlier, but guys, he is adding a lot to your clan boss build, and he can work very nicely in here. All right, so still a very good replacement. And finally, here's the run from today, just as a quick reminder for you guys of what we got. 80 million damage with Ninja dealing 32 million damage total. Fane is at 18.7 million, and I believe in your video, Deadwood, you had him at 40 million, right? If I'm not mistaken, give or take.
We were on strong affinity for him, so it was definitely helpful there. But yeah, 40 million, and like I was expecting maybe half that. It was my reaction is 100% genuine. I was like, what the heck just happened? I don't know how we did 40 million, but yeah, this guy slaps. He just slaps.
He does. So now let's imagine this team here with a fully optimized team, 100% crit rate, you know, even more crit damage, the maxed out skills, and I think I might just have a new clan boss build, a better option, at least even for my account. So who knew? Ninja is our guy. The Forever Ninja team is now probably my go-to team, and again, it is thanks to you, Deadwood. So I want to give a huge shout out for you coming on the video today. Sorry, and obviously, guys, go check out your clan boss calculator website, because there's a lot of great information in there. We will provide a link to the builds in the chat and description of what you saw today, and that's going to be it. So again, Deadwood, thank you so much for tuning in and doing this with me today.
My pleasure, man. Always fun catching up with you, BG. I love it, man. And yeah.
All right.
Well, I'm excited to see what your max damage becomes after this. I'm thinking 100 million comp. I mean,
we might get it. We might get it.
Challenge is thrown. There's the gauntlet.
Let's do it.
Pick it up now.
All right, man. Catch you later, guys.